I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how to connect to who you really are beyond any label, beyond any story, beyond any identity or past conditioning that you've ever told yourself. And then I'm going to share with you also how to move forward in your life and actually focus on your future, what you want to see happen versus being stuck in a loop of being afraid of what you don't want happening, and that's all you're thinking about. I'm going to share with you how to break out of that so that you can really, make your own decisions again. So let's talk about that in this video. If you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell because I do actually post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, apply for a free consultation. It's going to be in the description box of this video. So let's just get right into the video. Now, if you want to connect to that space within yourself where you know what decisions you have to make when you have to make them, you know what you need moment to moment, you know the people you need to talk to, you have the thoughts that you need to think, you have a sense of security that nobody can take away from you, no matter, as crazy as it sounds, no matter what happens to you. It doesn't matter. Because at that point, you're focused on something else, And if you want to connect to this space, it starts with your attention. That's what it always starts with. See, we're not interested here in controlling anything outside of you. That's not where the gold is. The gold is right under your nose. But are you seeing it? That's the question. And it's always there. It's never not been there. You've been through so much change in your life, right? Since whatever you remember, since your first memory. But you know what? There's this one thing that has never changed, and that it transcends time and space. But it's there. And, if you can learn to become conscious of that and place your attention actually on that, what you'll start to notice is that that's where your power is. And what needs to be communicated will be communicated. What action needs to be taken will be taken. Anything that sort of needs to happen any particular way, it's gonna happen. It's just gonna start happening, and it's not gonna be something that you have to really worry about. You don't have to be concerned about it, because being concerned about it puts you in a state where, of course, you've already lost that connection to yourself. Now, let's use some words here so we can point deeper to this space. Okay, so all these words mean the same thing, at least in terms of what I'm pointing you to. The observer, consciousness, awareness, the universe, God. I could come up with several more, but it doesn't matter what the word is. We're not interested in the word. We're not interested in attaching to one word. Doesn't matter how you get there, what you call it. Once you're there, you're there. But, the irony of it all is that it's not like you get there. You know what I mean? Like, you don't like arrive necessarily. You become conscious of a space that is within you that was always there the entire time and is always there the entire time. Whether you are conscious of it or not, it doesn't matter because it's still there. Right? Doesn't matter if you realize it or not, it's still there. So you could also call it presence. You can also call it awareness. Whatever word resonates for you, doesn't matter. Drop all the words that you think you know. What we're talking about here is connecting to a space within you that actually is totally formless, but actually you can become conscious of it. It's just like the best way that I can explain it really is you become conscious of consciousness. You become conscious that you are aware of the experience, and you keep putting your attention back on that again and again and again. You just keep noticing, like, oh yeah, I'm conscious, and you just keep placing your attention there, your attention on attention. You focus on focus. What is focus? Focus is consciousness. You put your focus on that. And that is how you connect to the space within you beyond labels. Now, does this mean that you're going to be disconnected from being a human and having certain labels that you resonate with to define yourself as? No, you're not going to be excluded from that. In fact, you'll be able to enjoy actually so much more what you're doing and who you choose to be, because you make a conscious decision around kind of what you imagine your life to be and who you prefer to transform into. One thing that a lot of people are not conscious of, but I should stop saying that, because actually it is quite amazing to see how actually I do believe there is a mass collective of people actually realizing this. It's becoming mainstream. Why wouldn't it? Why does consciousness have to be this taboo subject? Actually, why can't it be like, we are consciousness? Oh yeah, that's like obvious. That's the default. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I think we're headed, honestly. And, in a way, in some collective realities, we're already there now. So, what I would say is that if you want to connect to that space, start to notice it. Notice that space within you. That would be my invitation to you. Notice that space within you. Notice that space. But you might not even want to use the word space, because it transcends space. Absolutely, it does. So it's not something you need actually also like 15 years of meditation for. I don't believe you do. Although I did meditate for many years, every single day for 7 years. Ironically, how I was able to realize this was by actually dropping meditation completely, believe it or not. I dropped the formal practice and I surrendered to just what is, in this present moment. And what happened was miraculous. And it was a realization that actually, every single moment can be a spiritual practice. Every single moment can be an opportunity to meditate. And it doesn't have to be actually defined by necessarily like one thing to focus on, like your breathing or, like your body scan. It's just like you can just sort of, like, this is what I'm telling you. It's like, it's hard to explain because, I don't want to sound arrogant, but and sometimes I do, I'm conscious of that, but, I'm just here to share my experience. And, one thing that I've realized is that actually I can simply notice that space within me. And I mean, you can call that a technique if you want, but my belief, in this moment is that actually being conscious of that space within you, that awareness and living from that space, I believe that's our natural state, and that's the thing that was like, it's not even a state necessarily once you realize it, because it's just this sort of thing that you're aware of that's happening, quote unquote, in the background of your experience, 24/7, no matter what is happening in your life, it's always there. And then when you become conscious of it, initially, it's not about changing your state whatsoever. It's not about changing your state. It's not about controlling anything. It's not about controlling, how you feel. It's none of that. It's just about noticing that space and just surrendering. But then eventually what you start to realize is that once you do this, actually that sort of quote unquote an act, which is not quite an act, but the act of becoming aware of awareness, what you notice is that this is incredibly transformative to your experience. And many patterns that maybe you've been stuck in start to fall away more effortlessly. Not by trying to change the experience necessarily, not even by trying to change your habits or who you are, or like maybe if you have addictions, or not even by changing anything, but just by simply changing the place that you come from with everything that you do. And what you notice is that automatically you start to actually, just level up and transform. And that's a bonus. That's a natural bonus of becoming conscious of that space. And so, some people might wonder, like, well, Francis, what is the right technique to getting there? Do you need to focus on your breathing? Do I need to do this technique or that technique? I would say personally, in my experience, what I found most beneficial and most liberating and most freeing, like just very freeing, like, oh my gosh, like I'm free, regardless of what's happening to me, is like actually not depending on any technique. And that's kind of like, what my spirit wanted, because, there was many years in my life where I was just focused on technique after technique after technique, discipline, focus, concentration, extreme levels of concentration, focus, discipline. Doesn't matter how you feel, wake up every single day and meditate, doesn't matter what the circumstances are. And honestly, I'm starting to meditate every single day right now, as a natural, like, love for myself and how beneficial that is for my energy. And, that is in a way what it was, many years ago too. But still, there was just still this little piece in the background after I did those meditations with the discipline where I felt I was dependent on the techniques. I felt like the power was outside of me. And so I knew what I had to do was I had to actually drop meditation daily. I had to just drop it and just surrender to life without any technique and just be aware. Just be aware of what's happening. No technique, nothing. Just drop it all. Give it all back to God. Give it all back to the universe. And I'll be quite honest with you, my life was falling apart at that time. And my life is coming together beautifully right now, moment to moment. Everything that I need comes to me moment to moment perfectly. And the interesting thing is that the way that I was able to get to this space was by getting to such a point of adversity in my life, such a point of, resistance, such a point of resisting what is. My ego collapsed completely and I expanded into awareness. And that's just what happened. Honestly, I didn't even realize that's what happened. Honestly, as I'm explaining the story, it's kind of shocking. It's like I remember the moment, or like just like I remember like this particular point in my life where like my ego just vanished almost. And it's like, by ego I mean lack of awareness, lack of being conscious of what's happening, lack of consciousness, lack of awareness, being stuck in your head, being feeling extremely ungrounded, extremely spacey, extremely resistant to what's happening, just like all these things, you know, like not feeling like I can do what I need to do. Like if I say I'm going to do something, then, and the ability to, you know, follow through with that, I didn't have any of that. All of that was gone, you know, because my power, my consciousness was so low. I was just swayed by I was totally on autopilot at that point. And so what happened was like the consequences of that got so great, and personally for me manifested as like health issues, financial issues, relationship issues, dysfunction, disharmony, stress, anger, you know, everything, depression, whatever you want to call it. All that came up for me. I guess you'd call that the dark night of the soul. That was, you know, my experience at least, is the dark night of the soul. I guess you could call it that. That's one way to describe it. But then what came with that was a complete liberation, a complete freedom within myself that actually had nothing to do with what was happening to me. Nothing to do with what was happening to me, but I believed it was happening to me. And it's not even that I necessarily changed my perspective at the mental level of like, oh, it's happening for me or whatever. I didn't even have that. I didn't have any capacity within myself to like, oh, think positive thoughts or anything, or like, you know, pretend that like, oh yeah, it's gonna work out. Like, yeah, I had certain thoughts like, yeah, oh God, I trust myself to get through this, or something like that, you know. But that was as far as I could go. There was never any like deep perspective change. For me, that liberation came from a complete surrender to another collection of words, is unconditional awareness. What is unconditional awareness? Unconditional awareness is just simply a collection of words to point to a space that is within yourself that is beyond words completely. It's just a collection of words. Some people want to use the word like truth. I don't know if you like that word, truth. Just the truth of what is, regardless of what you think. Just in the background, so to speak. But it's not necessarily in the background because it also includes the form. But the key thing to take away here is that how you connect to that space is going to be individual for you. It's going to be completely individual for you. You know what I mean? Because like how I connected to that space, yeah, I went through the meditations, and then I dropped the meditations, right? And you know, I went through that entire process, and what started to happen was that I dropped the meditations and expanded. Okay, so that was my experience. You know, Eckhart Tolle's experience was, he was laying in bed or something, had extreme depression, and at some point he said to himself, I can't live with myself any longer. And he's like, wait, like myself? I can't live with myself any longer. So he's like, actually, who is this I, right? Who is this I that cannot live with myself? Who is this I? And he's just like, wait a second. And then he realized, like, actually, yep, there's that consciousness, that awareness. And, you know, that space is always there. And so, what I also want to talk about here before I conclude this video is that actually, you'd be so surprised how, if your life is falling apart and you surrender to that space, how things start to work out for you. Slowly but surely. Picks up beautifully, like just exactly what you need moment to moment, truly. Not always what you think you want, but it'll definitely be what you actually need. That's the truth right there. So, you always have what you need. Now, one more thing that I want to share before I conclude is, once again, a reminder that, you know, that space within yourself which again is like not quite its space, but you get what I mean. How you get there is your way, and I want you to trust that 100%. And with that, I conclude this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. Also, if this video was supportive for you in any way, leave a comment down below sharing what your experience was. I would love to hear what you have to say. Also, please leave a like on this video, because hitting that like button does help the YouTube algorithm push the videos out to more people, and that would be greatly appreciated. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.